What's going on, everybody? I hope everybody is doing good today, tonight, whenever you're watching this. I've been meaning to make this video for a few days now, and I figured now I'd go ahead and make this video. As of the time I am making this video, it's currently Thanksgiving. I just got done celebrating Thanksgiving. I hope everybody had a fantastic Thanksgiving as well. Mine didn't really go as planned, because I got a lot of family and friends that are sick, unfortunately. But, hey, it is what it is. Everybody's been getting sick lately, but, it's whatever. But with all that being said, so I'm sure a lot of you that are watching this video probably heard about the incident in Raleigh, North Carolina, where this guy was in a parade, taking part, hauling a float trailer, and, he was in the parade, and he went to hit his brakes because everybody else was slowing down, and unfortunately his brakes went out. He started rolling down the hill, and a bunch of people had to try and stop the truck. It was a pretty messed up situation, and from what I heard, there was a little girl that was killed. She was hit by the truck, and, unfortunately she died from that. And I will say this right now, my heart does go out to that little girl's family and all of her friends. I can't imagine what the family is going through right now. I couldn't imagine losing a kid like that in a tragedy like that, especially right before Thanksgiving. Anytime it's bad regardless, but especially before Thanksgiving or any other holiday, that's pretty sad. They probably couldn't really celebrate Thanksgiving because, they're mourning the loss of their child. It's sad. And like I said, my heart does go out to that little girl's family. I am praying for her family and her friends. It's got to be tough. So with that said, I'm going to talk a little bit about what I think may have happened and, kind of respond to what some people have said about this situation, because it seems like there's a lot of people out there that are just jumping into conclusions, and, you got people that are like, oh, throw that dude in jail for the rest of his life. He shouldn't walk free. He should never be allowed to drive, blah, 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 blah. Look, man, everybody's entitled to their own opinions, which I fully respect that, okay? I'm not saying we all have to agree on the same thing. But before you go and jump into conclusions, at least maybe do some research before you say what you have to say. Because there are a lot of people out there that are just jumping into conclusions, and they probably don't even know what all happened. They probably don't know the entire story. They probably just assumed something all because, it was a lifted truck, the dude was driving a lifted truck, blah, 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 People going on and saying, oh, well, this is why we shouldn't have people driving lifted trucks and this and that and all that bullshit. Okay, first off, let me tell you something. Regardless if it's a lifted truck or if it's a PT Cruiser or any other type of vehicle out there, each and every vehicle has its issues. Every vehicle has an issue eventually. No vehicle out there is perfect. I will say that right now. I'm 24 years old. I've been driving for around 8 years now. Since I've started driving, I've had quite a few different issues. I've had brakes go out on me a few times unexpectedly. I've had brake calipers go out. I've had wheel bearings break. I've had a head gasket blow on me. I've even had a serpentine belt pop loose on one of the vehicles I owned at one point unexpectedly. I know sometimes when a vehicle is about to have an issue, it gives you some sort of warning, like either a check engine light or maybe a brake light or ABS light, you name it. And for me, since I've started driving, I've owned 4 different vehicles. I've owned a 2000 Dodge Ram 1500. I've owned a 2005 Dodge Durango. I've owned a 2002 Chevy Suburban. And right now I currently drive a 2014 Ford F-150. While some of those vehicles I've owned were notorious for having certain issues, whether it be unexpectedly or if it gave you a warning, like I said, each and every vehicle is bound to have an issue at some point. That's just how it goes. And as for brakes, brakes can go out for many different reasons, whether it be like bad brake pads or, a brake line goes out, your brake calipers quit working, or, you have a bad rotor and it screws with your brakes, you name it. And I know a lot of times when your brakes are about to go out, you might hear like a grinding noise, or they just go out unexpectedly. Now, for me, I'm no expert when it comes to vehicles, but I will say this right now. A few years ago, I came across an article where, there was an issue, or I'm sorry, there was a recall issued for GMC Sierras. A lot of the ones between 2007 and 2013. While I'm not sure what number of a GMC Sierra that guy in the parade was driving, he was driving one that was made between 2007 and 2013, or maybe 2014 at the latest, because 2014 is the last year they made them like that. But for the recall, they said that, they were worried that the brakes would go out unexpectedly. And that's probably what happened to that dude in the parade when he was driving. A lot of people are like, oh, well, he had a lift kit, he had big ass tires, he had this and that, he had blah, 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 blah. Dude, some trucks are made with lift kits, and they sell them like that. Some people will buy trucks and then put lift kits on them. For my Dodge Ram that I owned a few years back, yes, it had a lift kit on it, and even though it did have some issues, it didn't have issues unexpectedly. Now, for my Dodge Durango and my Chevy Suburban, yeah, those have had some unexpected issues. And those were just normal SUVs. For my Dodge Ram, though, I've had maybe one unexpected issue with that truck. And it wasn't the brakes. But anyways, this isn't about any of the vehicles I owned. This is about the brakes going out on the truck that dude in the parade was driving. Now keep in mind, the dude in the parade is only 20 years old. He probably doesn't know a fuck ton about vehicles and the type of issues that they can have. Do I think he intended on hurting or killing anybody? No. I'm sure he didn't wake up that morning thinking, oh, well, I'm going to go and hurt or kill somebody with my truck today. I sure hope that my brakes go out, blah, 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 blah. I'm sure he didn't wake up that morning thinking any of that stuff was going to happen. He woke up that morning excited, that he was going to take part in a parade and haul a parade float. And he was pulling it in the Christmas parade. When his brakes went out, there was proof that he was yelling out the truck, "Get out of the way, get out of the way, I can't stop, my brakes are out." He even honked the horn as well, warning people to get out of the way. I can assure you, he didn't intend on hurting or killing anybody at that point. Because why else wouldn't he be honking his horn or yelling out the window, telling people to get out of the way, that he can't stop? It's just like recently, I don't remember how long ago this was. I don't remember if it was this year, last year, or the year before. I don't know. But I came across a video where this guy, he was driving a semi-truck. He was going down a hill, and there was a school bus that stopped quite a ways in front of him, dropping kids off. And he went to go stop, and then all of a sudden his brakes went out unexpectedly, excuse me. Sorry, I apologize about my speaking. But like I said, he tried to stop and his brakes went out. His truck started rolling down the hill and he didn't know what else to do. So he laid on his horn as he was about to pass a school bus. There was one SUV that drove onto the grass trying to get out of his way, and there was another guy in a pickup truck that could have been hit head on had he not backed up. Well, seeing that truck coming. And if it weren't for the guy in that pickup truck that backed up and gave that truck some room to go through, there probably would have been a bad accident right there. Somebody probably would have been hurt or killed. But yeah, the guy in that semi-truck was able to miss a school bus. Whether or not he ever got in trouble for, that situation, I don't know. I sure hope he didn't, because like I said, that was an unexpected issue. Sometimes you can't expect things like this to happen. Like I said, I don't remember how long ago that situation happened, but as far as the dude in North Carolina that was in the parade, all because this situation happened, he's getting locked up for it, which is pretty sad. Then you got people on Facebook, people on YouTube, people on TikTok that are like, yeah, this dude should be locked up for the rest of his life. He killed somebody with his lifted truck, blah, 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 blah. Okay, since so many people are criticizing this man for what happened, let me ask some questions here. If he wasn't driving a lifted truck, would you say the same thing? If that little girl hadn't died in that tragedy, would you say the same thing? Not only that, but how much you want to bet that a lot of people that are criticizing this man for what he did like to either text and drive or sit there and speed, go like 10 or 15 miles over a speed limit. How much you want to bet a lot of the people judging that man would have probably done way worse than what he did, or they probably would have done just as bad. Just curious. And for those of you that are going to sit there and say, oh, well, he should never be allowed to drive again, he should never be able to do this or that, guess what? Let me say this right now. You probably don't even have to worry about him ever driving again. You know why? Because here's a fun fact. When you kill somebody unintentionally with a vehicle, whether if you did it like when they were on foot, or if you hit somebody else's car, you end up killing them. You know what? After you do that, you don't want to drive again. I've listened to interviews from some people out there that, they've caused accidents before and they ended up killing somebody. And they said that that situation sticks with them for the rest of their life and they don't even want to be out driving anymore because of it. I've heard of situations like that many times. Hell, a few months ago, there was a bad accident about 10 miles from where I live where, this one dude that was driving a newer style Ford Bronco was on his way somewhere. It was a sunny morning, the sun was shining to where a lot of people had a hard time seeing. You couldn't look east without being blinded out by the sun. This one guy came up to a stop, getting ready to make a left turn onto a main road. And, there was a motorcycle coming. He didn't see the motorcycle in time because of how bright it was. And he saw other cars, but he didn't see the motorcycle in time. He started pulling out, and boom, motorcycle ran right into his car, and that motorcyclist died. And while I don't know too much about the dude that caused the accident or the motorcyclist, I've read articles about what that guy said, and he says that he feels guilty for what he did. He has remorse for what happened, and he doesn't even want to be out driving anymore because of it. And the dude that caused that accident, he was 26 years old. The guy that was on the motorcycle that died, he was in his 50s. And he says he feels terrible for the family that are going through that loss, and he wished that it was him that died and not the motorcyclist. Now, if it was me that caused that accident, I'd probably feel the same way. And I hope and pray that I never have to go through a situation like that where I cause a bad accident and kill somebody. Or if I do cause a bad accident, I hope that it's me that goes down and not the other person. See, that's something that people need to realize. Just because somebody causes an accident doesn't mean they do it intentionally. A lot of accidents out there happen unexpectedly, unintentionally. That's just life. Nobody's perfect. So with all that being said, do I believe that the dude that caused that accident there in North Carolina where he killed that little girl intended on hurting or killing anybody? No. Do I believe he has remorse? Yes. This is something that's going to stick with him for the rest of his life. And that's pretty sad. Like I said, my thoughts and prayers go out to that little girl's family. And my thoughts and prayers also go out to that guy's family and that guy himself as well. Because he's hurting from this. I'm sure he's pretty tore up about what happened. Like I said, if you think that he did that on purpose, you really think he would have honked his horn or yelled out the window, telling people to get out of the way, that he can't stop? Think about that for a second. Anyways, that's really all I gotta say for this video. I hope everybody's having a great day, great night, whenever you're watching this, and I also hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving as well. I will say this right now, though, be sure to hug your loved ones, man, because you never know when things like this can happen. There's been a lot going on lately, and I guess there was a mass shooting that happened in Colorado, which I'll talk about that some other time. I've been meaning to talk about that as well. But anyways, I apologize for this video being long. I'm sorry if I sounded like I was speaking gibberish. Like I said, everybody's been getting sick, and then I've also been dealing with a little bit of a cold, so, my speaking's been kind of sounding a little off lately, which I apologize. But anyways, y'all have a great day, great night, whenever you're watching this, and y'all be safe.